YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we lived in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I have to cover this crisis actor that has appeared on multiple news media outlets, including in Australia. And as most of you know, the crisis actors serve multiple purposes when they are pushed in front of the television and they speak on multiple networks and do 50 interviews, and nobody's suspicious as to how these news media outlets keep getting the same guy to give an interview about the same story so that they can give it to every network. So no matter where you are, they'll make sure you catch it, because they have to give you all the talking points with the crisis actors. Now, most of you probably have seen my Crisis Actors Academy Awards that I've done over the years, because these guys are prominent. They've taken the term crisis actors that we used to always use and expose when we had these false flag shooting events. And now, of course, they use the term actors when it comes to the people who are supposedly acting out the shooting, which is just as in your face as it can get, because they literally are actors. So now when people actually hear crisis actors, they think more of, oh, the actor, the shooter. You mean the real person, right? They try to drown out these words, just like they try to drown out the word awake, an awakening, with words like woke. We used to all kind of say we were awake or waking people up, and then they took that word and made it into woke. So they always blur the lines with crisis actors. And this guy right here is one of the funniest ones I've seen in quite a while. He actually resembles our buddy Robbie Parker from Sandy Hook, who is one of my favorite personal ones, Mr. Duping Delight. And this one as well, for anyone that doesn't know what a crisis actor is or does, if you're new to all this, these are actors who are hired to give interviews after these events occur. They describe the event, and then they give you the talking points that they want to be buried inside of your head. This is a perfect example. The mom from one of the shootings in California, whose son supposedly was shot and killed. And instead of, grieving about her son inside her home, she's outside speaking to the media. And instead of talking about her son, well, she's talking about gun control. Look at this absolute charade of a crisis actor if you've ever seen it before.
My name is Susan Orfanos. My son was Tel Orfanos. We lost him last night at the borderline shooting. My son was in Las Vegas with a lot of his friends, and he came home. He didn't come home last night, and I don't want prayers. I don't want thoughts. I want gun control, and I hope to God nobody else sends me any more prayers. I want gun control. No more guns. Thank you.
That's one of my personal favorites, but this guy has to be covered. A video had to be done on him, because I want you to see some of the talking points. This is what we're hearing about. Anybody who's cheering the news of Charlie's death, that's disgusting. You're a demon. You're a devil. Let's cancel them. Let's end their ability to have a job. Let's dox them. These are things I'll cover in more detail in separate videos. But the talking points out there that they want are talking points about love and hate, good and evil. This is to draw Christians in into thinking everything they're about to do is in the name of good. Silencing, bringing in censorship on Democrats who have opposing viewpoints. And this guy can't even muster a tear, which is, one of the common themes that we see with these crisis actors. He's seen on multiple news networks. Nobody ever thinks of how do they get these guys to constantly show up on the news, right? Did he give his phone or his card out to everybody out there? Right? Is he walking around going, here's my card. I was front and center. If you want to interview me, and all the news stations go, yeah, we're going to give him a call. I mean, it's an utter joke. So all the news stations have aired this guy, and he gives this story where he wants to talk about how he was reading a story to his daughter the night of the shooting about love, and he couldn't even do it. He was crying. Then he goes on to talk about hate, about people who are cheering for. These are all bullet points that came right out of the shooting that we're hearing now in the mainstream. This whole canceling of anybody out there cheering for Charlie Kirk's death. None of these people even thinking that these are actually actors. So love, hate, duping delight. This interview has got it all. And keep in mind, he wants to describe how close he was to the scene. He wants to describe that he was literally the closest person to Charlie Kirk when Charlie Kirk was shot. So it makes you feel like, wow, this guy was as close. You know, I felt close watching it when I saw it on TV. I felt close, like I was there because they showed it to me, because I don't know what hypnotism is. And of course, I'm pretending to be the common sheeple out there, and that's the way that they're all thinking. But this guy wants you to know how close he was to the scene, so don't question if he was there or not. He literally could see the splatter shooting out of his neck, or should we say his blood squib. But take a look at our newest crisis actor, who will soon be nominated alongside Charlie Kirk's wife for this year's Crisis Actor Academy Awards.
I was maybe 10 or 15 feet away when it happened. I was doing okay, and then I was putting my 5-year-old to bed, and she had me read her story about love. I just couldn't finish the story. I was thinking about Charlie's little girls, his wife. He was such a powerful human being, and at 31 years old, the things that he accomplished. It's like, we got some candles here, and I couldn't hold a candle to that at this moment. I was closer than any of the students, closer than maybe one security guard between him and I. And I heard the pop, and I knew immediately it was a gunshot. And as soon as I thought that was a gunshot, I saw Charlie's neck and the blood, and I just knew instantly that there was no chance that he was going to survive. I saw a Facebook post from someone that they were at the event too, and a man from England commented that he was glad, and now that'll shut him up, and now he can't talk anymore. And that kind of hatred and that kind of vile attitude can't exist in society. I believe it's the governor earlier today said that if any part of you felt happy hearing this news, like, you need to check yourself. You need to see, what kind of angels can come into your life and change your heart, because there's a real cancer in our society, and it's not just in America, it's around the globe. I think it's infused by social media, but people are carrying deep-rooted hatred that needs to stop. We can have differing opinions, we can have discussions. Get off that rooftop, stop holding your rifle down there and grab a microphone. Talk to somebody. It's only when we get heart to heart and really see who people are is the only way that we're going to solve this and cure the world of the cancer that's here.
One of the other hard parts about today's ordeal was that it left behind so many witnesses, hundreds of people here on campus.
And we spoke to a lot of them. News specialist Andrew Adams spoke to one of them, actually, who may have been one of the closest people to this shooting. Andrew?
He was maybe 10 to 15 feet away from Charlie Kirk when he was shot. When we caught up with him tonight, he was still struggling with what he saw and what he felt it meant.
Out of whirlwind of emotions.
Hours into the aftermath of what was being called a political assassination.
My head feels heavy.
The feelings were still raw.
I don't think I've ever seen someone die in front of me, let alone be murdered.
Skylar Baird says he'd always been a fan of Charlie Kirk, and when he learned the popular activist was in town, he wanted to get as close as he could.
To my left is security, and the front of me is a security guard, and then nothing else, just Charlie.
Baird says shortly after the topic turned to transgender mass shooters,
I heard the loud crack.
He believed he heard a gunshot.
And as soon as I thought that, I saw Charlie's neck explode.
Baird dove into the fountain, and in the hours since that time, he hasn't been able to escape the images of the shooting.
I just watched the video for 10. It's
coming to terms with what happened has cut to his core.
It's just super positive experience. And then someone ruins that.
Baird says he's since found some clarity.
The story was that Charlie Kirk was murdered for his political views.
And as everyone contemplates what's next,
there's a cancer growing in our society.
He hopes for reflection on where the country could be headed.
You need to find love, because as we move away from that and move into hostility, hate, and anger, society can't exist.
So this guy couldn't even muster up a tear, right? But they wanted to make sure they show you these people who are at these events so they can give you the talking points. A lot of the people who were interviewed, in addition to him, made sure that while they were interviewed, that they let you know that Charlie Kirk was speaking about transgender people and transgender violence when he was violently shot. That's all done by design. That's to bring you deeper into the psychosis. So the crisis actors serve more than just a purpose of pretending to be real victims' parents or real victims' family members or friends, which of course we've seen with all of these school shootings. They give you the mom, they give you the dad, they give you the sister, the brother. On the news that night, none of them ever could really muster a tear. And then instead of, grieving like normal human beings do, like regular human beings, if they lose a cat, they're grieving for a while. A dog, they're grieving for a while. They're not ready to go on national television and talk about the shooting or the execution of their child. But these people conveniently always are. And nobody says, well, that's weird. They just go, well, they want to help, right? So then they go on national TV, and when they go, oh, she was a great girl, and she was always so happy and had fun. They have a 5-minute interview. And then as soon as they're done giving a 30-second rundown on how she loved blueberries or loved playing on the swings, they go into gun control. Oh, we got to do something about it. We got to make sure that when we're walking the streets, we don't have to worry about our kids getting shot. We got to worry when we send our kids to school on the bus. We don't want to worry about them getting killed. Now we have to worry about it. Something's got to be done, right? And that, of course, is the purpose of the crisis actors. So the love and hate narrative is very funny to me because they're trying to tie in love and hate, good and evil, right? The spiritual war. This is what we're hearing Charlie Kirk's wife and MAGA talk about. They're in a delusion if they think that the spiritual war is between controlled Democrats in Congress and controlled Republicans in Congress. And they're really under delusion if they think their enemies and Satanists are people who vote differently than they do. They are under a deep spell, and none of us can seem to shake them out of it. I can show you all the evidence. I've been in overdrive with the amount of content that I produce, and I produce long content, not by design. I know a lot of you like shorter videos, but I produce, a lot of content since this has occurred to try and help these people come out of it. And they think that automatically I'm a Democrat because I'm doing a video. Ooh, we should go after this guy. He's saying that it's not real, right? Well, we should go after this guy because how dare he even question the event? Well, that's the point. They don't want you to question the news. Don't you understand? They don't want you to question if the news is real, which is, again, when I talk about drowning out some of these words like woke with awakening, another one is fake news. They've made that a mainstream term. We used to just say the news is fake. All of us. The news is fake. 2015, 2016, 2017. The news is fake. The news is fake. These events are fake, right? So then conveniently they took that and they made fake news. So now whenever you talk to somebody about fake news, they're like, oh yeah, CNN's fake news. And then you go, yes, it is. And then they just go, well, it's fake news because, they're anti-Trump and they're anti-Republican. But Fox News and News Nation are real because they have the same viewpoints as me. So that's real news. They did that by design so that people wouldn't look at the news as if the news itself was scripted and fake. And again, that's what the whole Alex Jones trial charade was about, to scare people into questioning the news. Even though, Alex Jones supposedly went bankrupt, he's still doing it every single day. They're pretending every day, oh yeah, they're going to come take InfoWars. They're going to come take InfoWars. And maybe eventually they'll pretend to come take InfoWars and they'll start a new fake InfoWars. It doesn't matter. It's part of the show. Because Jones could have, like I said, if I was, let's just use this event, for example. If all these people out there wanted to kill me because I'm not, cheering the death of anyone because nobody died, right? They want to believe that somebody died. The only thing that died was a character that the government created and put on a pedestal so that they could herd people into the conservative movement and herd Christianity with conservatism, right? If anybody came to me and they were like, look, we want you to lose your job, we want to dock you, we want to do this stuff, we should be thrown in jail, let's just say, because that's eventually where this is headed, of course. What I would say is this. I'd say, look, all I'm saying is that I don't believe what I see in the news. And they would just be like, what? And I just say, I don't believe it. Like when we see crime shows, right? Don't we need a trial when a crime is committed? Even if you believe the person's guilty, and you watch these crime shows, you're like, why haven't they arrested him yet? Why haven't they? Because they don't have enough evidence. They don't have enough evidence, right? And you just wait. You're like, where's the gun? Where's this? Where's the fingerprint? Where's the DNA? Right? And they just go, we don't have any of it yet, so we can't arrest him because, if we arrest him without any evidence, he might get off, right? Okay, that's common thinking for every single individual in the world when a crime is committed. Okay, so these are supposed crimes. So why is it a crime for people like me to actually question whether or not the event occurred? Provide me evidence. Bring me, if you care so much about me denying it, right, which these people seem to care, right? They care about anybody out there denying it, anybody out there celebrating it really bothers them. But if you deny it and you really care about my opinion on it, then bring me, pay for it, bring me to Charlie Kirk's body. I want to bring in my own doctors. I'll find some guys. We'll do an autopsy. I want to see the corpse. I want to see that it's a real human being, not a wax dummy. Okay? Then I want to see all the evidence presented to me. I want to see the bullet wound. I want to make sure it's a real, actual bullet wound. Just let me see actual evidence like we see in a trial, and then I'll say, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry it upset you so much. I'll eat crow now and I'll shut up and I'll delete all my videos. That's what I would say. And I think a regular common person would say, that's fair that he's saying that. That's fair. But we don't have that with these stories because they're so emotionally sucked into the psyops. They just, well, it was on the TV, so it's got to be real. They told us he was shot. They showed it to us. I saw it with my own eyes. Did you see it with your own eyes? You saw it through their eyes. They control the screens. Do you understand that? Your phone, the television, they control it. That's the point. So since everybody saw it, they feel like they were actually witnesses to a crime, right? As if you were, it's almost comparable to being like, you're in a home with a man and a woman, and you're a guest, and they start having an argument, and you see one of them stab the other one and kill him, okay? So you see it, and then you're just like, you tell the cops and all this stuff, and you're like, I saw it, it's over with, and the cops are like, well, we can't, he's going to get arrested, but he's not going to go to trial yet. We need evidence. And you just go, well, I saw it. I know that it happened this way. Well, the cops would say, you got to wait. We have to find evidence. We have to prove it in the court of law because there's fair trials, and we have to make sure we do it right so that the guy doesn't end up walking. And everybody in these situations are like, yeah, that's the way that it is. But when it comes to school shootings, Sandy, right? Well, the guy's already dead, so there can't be a trial. Well, how convenient there can't be a trial. All people like me have ever asked for is, let's dig up. Yeah, look, you could say whatever you want. Be like, well, that's wrong because their parents don't want the bodies dug up. Well, let me meet the parents and let me dig up the bodies with the parents and let's see the actual evidence. Present it to us. Otherwise, we shouldn't believe any of these stories. Should we? This is common sense speaking. Everybody out there who's listening should be going, yep, that's common sense speaking. That's how everybody should be thinking. But of course they don't. Because they believe in a deep state. They believe in a new world order, but they don't believe that they would actually fictionalize the news to gain control over you. Oh, no, they'd never do that. They're like, well, yeah, they do that with the propaganda about Trump on CNN. No, they do it with this. That's why you're reacting the way you're reacting if you're a MAGA supporter. And that's why the Democrats react the way they react to these shooting events. Because you're sucked into the news stories as if they're real. How dumb will these people feel when they find out that they're watching a movie and reacting to a movie as if it's really happening in real life? They still wouldn't believe it. If the government came out and said we made it all up, they would just be like, nah, because their egos are too, boosted up. They're too narcissistic now. But the fact of the matter is these crisis actors serve a huge purpose in all of this, obviously, because they help enhance the psyop. But when you're awake, we love the crisis actors because they're brutal. We already know that the event's not real. So then we get these actors who pretend to be there, who then immediately pivot, try to cry like that guy did. Right? Yes, I can't believe it. I was reading a love story to my kid, Skylar Baird over there, the Grace. I was reading a story about love, ironically. Oh, how ironic. And then you're talking later on about hate and love and hate and good and evil. The same things Erica Kirk was talking about. The same thing the media is talking about right now. Love and hate. And they're just lighting a fire under Christian conservatives for vengeance and blood and change. So let's censor all the other people. Let's have them lose their jobs. Let's cancel each other out. Which is great. This is what the government wants. Did any of these people get it? If they didn't create these characters, nobody would be reacting the way they are. If Charlie Kirk, the character, didn't exist, none of these Christian conservatives would give a crap about anyone else's opinion on it, but they're so deep in the psyop, they think a friend of theirs was killed. Not an actor, a character, right? So they want blood. My friend Charlie, I know him. He's got kids. Oh, he does? Oh, because you saw pictures on Instagram and he carries them out on stage and never really shows you your face. Yeah, and so did Barack Obama. Like I said, he had kids too. But didn't all these people who are anti-Democrat, don't they think Michelle Obama's a man? So who were Barack Obama's kids? Oh, they weren't really his kids, right? Because the entire thing is scripted. It's staged. It's acted out. And if you understand all the stuff I've broken down over the last 10 years, which is why I've been removed so many times, about secret societies, Freemasonry, DMLA, how this all works, then you'd say, How do they have kids? How do they have actors? This doesn't make sense. It's too intricate of a web. I've exposed the web. It's simple. Look in your town at the Freemason lodges. Look at them. They're there. Okay? So's the DeMolay. So's the Joe Stars. They all network with each other. They swear oaths of secrecy and loyalty. They don't break those oaths because when they go through their initiations and they're threatened and they go through blackmail rituals, they're not going to tell you what they're involved in because you ask them and risk being blackmailed or excommunicated or even murdered like Mozart was. No, they're not. So people need to come out of this. This is one of the easiest ones to see. It really is. But if you're really lit and there's a fire lit on you, and you're all upset about Charlie Kirk, then you're so deep in the psyop that you need help. And people like me are trying to help. I'm not saying it to make fun of you. I get it. This is hypnotism. Okay, this is hypnosis. This is mind control. It's not too late to come out. We all were in there at some point in time. We all came out. We're not trying to sit here and say we're smarter than you. We figured out we're sleuths. It's all fake. The news is scripted. It's manufactured. It's not fake news because of their opinion. It's fake news because they produce the events like a Hollywood production, the shootings, the images of war, what they tell you is going on in this country, in that country. It's a simulation, folks. Everybody out there needs to understand it. So here's our latest crisis actor, Skylar Baird. He wants to let you know all the talking points, but as always, we get a little duping delight. Really tough to muster a tear. And nobody wonders how this guy's airing on every single news network, how they're getting his number, they're finding him. Is there a place to sign up after Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck? Like, come over here. We have sign-up forms for anybody who wants to be interviewed on the news. Or are these people running because there's a shooter, supposedly? Look like people, they're running. Okay, so where do they find him? Someone just grabbed his arm, and he's like, yeah, I'll give an interview. Oh, okay. Then how did the other news networks find him? All of them. He's not just on those two. He's all over the place. Same as every single one of these events. It's the same actors. They're on Good Morning America. They're on local affiliate news, right? They're on, the liberal news channels that are alt-liberal, that pretend to be just independent YouTubers like the Young Turks. They're everywhere. How convenient. I guess they just dropped their cell phone information on the floor there, and the news station picked it up, and then they mass emailed it out to everyone. Said, hey, I found this guy. If everybody out there wants to do a same exact interview and hear the same exact talking points. Mind Control 101, ladies and gentlemen. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.